Hello. Um, it's been a while since I've done one of these explaining videos, and that's because I've had nothing to explain. But as I release my newest album, You Met in the Foliage, today, March 17th, I have something new to explain, so I just thought might as well do it just like I did with Love Tale. I much prefer this project to Love Tale, mostly because I enjoyed listening to it more, because it has words, it has lyrics, and I enjoyed making it a lot more than I did Love Tale. With Love Tale, the writing process was pretty much I go into FL Studio and mess around with that for many hours. You know, if I had an idea in my mind for a song, it was a melody, and I would have to record that melody on my phone, and then I would have to recreate in FL Studio. The writing process for this was so much easier because not only could I remember the ideas that I had because I had words that went along with them, but also it was just a lot easier to come up with ideas when I was saying something, if that makes sense. So yeah, this video is split into two parts. This part is me explaining the album itself, and then the second part will be me explaining the short story that you get along with it upon purchasing the album on Bandcamp. It's only about 14 pages, and it's sectioned off into pieces that represent the songs. So yeah, that's why this video is probably like over 2 hours long, because there's just so much to cover and so much to explain with this project, and I'm really proud of it. So without further ado, let's listen to the first song. This song is titled 7, and if you'll notice, it has a footnote in it. I love footnotes. Ever since I started reading House of Leaves, I became infatuated with footnotes. I just like their aesthetic. The footnote with this one is simply the phone starts ringing. You'll see how that connects in later. And the little text blurb is, "The heart was never yours, it was ours." These little text sentences connect to the story in the book. Or not the book, the short story that I wrote. You could say it's a book, but I think it's too short to be a book. These little text blurbs connect to the story. They're just my favorite sentences from the story. So yeah, you'll see that a lot of different songs have more connection to the story than others. But I'll get more into that when we read the story. So let's listen to this first song. Actually, upon starting that, I remember I released Love Tale Deluxe back in August, and the ending of that album was in She Looked at Me. If we skip all the way to the end, it's the same thing. It's a little bit faster here because I didn't have enough foresight to shoot. Upon recording this, I haven't released it, so it's still a draft down here. I didn't have the foresight to match up the BPMs, but still, it's like the same part. This 7 that I got here in the title comes from a school project I did for our school newspaper, where I would write these articles called People of the World, and in each article it was about a person that didn't exist. if you read my community posts on my Bandcamp page, you would have found a link to this other Bandcamp page for a band called Mulberry Johnson and the Raccoons, which I made, and that connected to one of these school articles about this guy named Will Mulberry who made this band Mulberry Johnson, and like the central song of that article was Timbre Skins, and I actually made that song, and I later included it on this album, so you'll hear it. But yeah, for the last one, I included this like experimental article story about this guy who pretty much, it's a very bland story pretty much. He is walking through a hallway and then gets to his job at this infinite space called the office, and then he's caught by the camera system not doing his work, so he's sent home for the day, and then he's tracked down in the hallway, and we don't know what happens after that. But the story behind that was that little section was chapter 7 in a much larger work, and only that chapter was ever found in the office. If you're from my school, which I'm assuming most of the people watching are, then you can read this in the last newspaper of the 2022-2023 school year. But anyway, enough talking. Let's just listen to this. So I purposefully wanted to capture the essence of Lovetail in this first song. I sort of wanted this piece to be a transition piece between the two albums. So you can see the connections between this song and a lot of the songs on Lovetail. Very similar instrumentation, similar aesthetics. This entire song is actually only instrumental. And then you can kind of hear the transition. Here you can hear that motif throughout the first half of the album. And I just wanted this to like slowly implement that this album was much different. So you kind of went from that happy Lovetail aesthetic to this looming threat almost in the music. And then the phone starts ringing. And that transition alone took so long to do, because these the two songs, 7 and The Real Sickness, are in 2 separate BPMs, and I did have the foresight this time to match up the BPMs. of the phone ringing, and I still didn't do it perfectly, but I did it well enough to where I was happy with it. And that transition alone is one of my favorite moments on the record. So yeah, The Real Sickness. This song was... So there were kind of two phases to this album, and the first phase was much different than the second one, at least when making it. The first concept for the album was that the entire album was going to be a part 2 to a song I made for the Fart Baskets called Crazy Y'all Part 1. You can see if you look closely that there actually is a track called Crazy Y'all Part 2 in the record. This entire record was supposed to be titled Crazy Y'all Part 2, and the song titles were supposed to be much longer, and the first song was supposed to be The Real Sickness, and it was supposed to be similar to 7 in that it was supposed to be this instrumental track that started out normal and slowly, or started out like Love Tale and then slowly introduced the themes and sound of Crazy Y'all Part 2. Although it would have done it in a much more stark and stabbing way. Instead of like slowly bringing you into the new sound, it would have reached into your chest and pulled your organs out for a bit of a gross, for a bit of a gross metaphor. But yeah, I wanted the sharp change to be there. I wanted there to be a sharp stabbing change. The Real Sickness was supposed to be what 7 is, and now it's much different. I made a Spotify playlist for my friends who I was making this album with to know which songs most influenced other songs. And the song for this one was Me and Your Mama by Childish Gambino, because I wanted that sort of like almost like gospel-esque feeling to this one. Well, not gospel, like sort of like I wanted that like gospel rock feeling to this one, and I think I captured it. I mean, you can be the judge. So yeah, this one became less about introducing you to the record and more about what it's actually titled, The Real Sickness. It's about fearing for disease. So we can listen to it now. I think most of the instruments on this track, or that I used in FL Studio when making it, were the default gospel, like choir sounds, and of course the drums. But you know, most of the tonal instruments were the choir sounds. And then it just pretty much restarts. Sorry for hitting the microphone there. This is the real sickness. My voice might sound different here because I recorded this like months ago. Whether you like it or not. My voice will actually sound very different all across the record because of how spaced apart the recording sessions were.
It's up to the writer to decide your fate. Is that a choir you're hearing? You should know hell has singers too. Now you see a sinister smile. You are gonna be down here for a while. I guess you didn't fight as hard as they want you to.
That line might be one of my favorites in the record. I guess you didn't fight as hard as they want you to. That's like synonymous. Whenever like there's somebody fighting a terminal disease, and then they survive, they're gonna be like, "Good job, you fought so hard and it worked out." But it implies that the people who didn't survive didn't fight hard as well, and I find that to be a bad connotation of that, like, you fought so hard against it thing. This song very much deals with both terminal disease and how it's viewed, and also like religious connotations. It was talking about hell and choirs and the writer, as I quoted it, and how it can feel a lot of times when you're like, this song is pretty much about hypochondria and like worrying about disease. It can feel a lot of the time how you're not in control, and for some people, this lack of control isn't as scary because it's God. God wrote a plan for them. But when you're an atheist like me, this lack of control is not like comforting, I guess. So yeah, that's pretty much it. The chorus for this one is pretty loud.
This isn't your story. The story of the people, the story of the crowd. Play a piano for minimum wage. End up dying just of old age. Is that your glory?
So that chorus pretty much deals with both narcissism, this isn't your story. Other people are going through this too, and that's like a problem. When I was dealing with hypochondria, it was very much like, I'm going through this, I need help, and other people are also going through this too. Just because you're going through something doesn't mean you're the only one, I guess. And it also talks about one of the upsides to this worry, and it's that if you're constantly worried that something bad is going to happen and that you might die, it gives you this kind of motivator to do something better with your life, And to other people, this better, which for me was making music and, playing the piano, this better might seem a bit lackluster. It's hence the line, playing your piano for minimum wage, end up dying of just old age. The line is a little bit unrealistic because you cannot. It's very difficult to make minimum wage with piano. Quite often you make much less. I believe I've made $4.50 off of all the music that I've released. But you know, it's special to you, so you should celebrate that, I guess. Wait, hold on. We can go back to the build up.
Is that your glory?
Basically, what I'm saying is the answer to that question is yes.
This is the real sickness. No way to fight it now. Drunk in a quiet hotel room listening to Kid A. Knowing your pay stub could never pay.
That's a little jab at American healthcare and the expensiveness of
paying
it.
for life insurance. You want to ensure that life is great, and money is the only promise left.
I kind of wrote these lines in way back when. I'm talking like months ago. I kind of wrote these lines in an angst toward the economy. You know, they're not my favorite lines. A lot of the lyrics on here are kind of first draft, but you know, I wanted to capture what I was thinking in the moment of writing the song. You know, when I'm making a song, it's usually because I got this wave of inner influence to make a song right then and there. So, you know, I don't want to hammer that wave with afterthought, I guess, when I'm not in a wave. You know, I'm sure, like, I'm not in a wave right now. I'm sure if I was, I would be commending this. If I was in the same wave that I was when I was writing it, I would be talking about how brilliant these lines are. But you know, I would prefer not to be in a wave, because then I would take a bit more of a laid back approach to this. You know, I'm going to be sitting here for like over 2 hours explaining this. So, in fact, I've already been sitting here for 23 minutes and we're not even done with the first song. Goddamn, I might not have enough space on my computer for this video. It's fine. So yeah, I wanted to not be in a wave for this video, basically. This might have been better to do as a live stream. It's fine.
When you're older, you know how to live, so you live vicariously through all the kids. You should know that they won't last long.
It's kind of a weird line. Kind of sounds kind of threatening towards kids. That is not how it's supposed to come across. I find myself kind of questioning like what I meant, because for some of these I forgot what I meant when I said them. You know, it's forced me to think back a lot.
This isn't your story. story of the people, the story of the crowd. Play a piano for minimum wage, end up dying just old age. Is that your glory?
I really like the drums on this track. Mostly because I used reversed kick drums to kind of lead into every kick and every snare. Reverse snares to lead into them.
Hello?
Hold on. That's important. Hold on. I wanted each track to sort of have this transition to the next one. So for that one, the transition was me picking up a phone and asking hello.
Hello?
You might have been able to hear it there. That's weird. It says 6 minutes 42 seconds here. It's 6 minutes 40 here. So yeah, I picked up the phone, which was ringing through the entire song, and now we're on to Your Birds. Now, Your Birds has two versions. This version, which is a solo version, and the original, which includes guest vocals. You can listen to the single version and to the album version and hear that the lines that Josephine originally sung aren't just sung by me. They're actually just fully taken out. Like it's just the beat when those are sung, when those are supposed to be sung. So it's almost like, this is just Morse code. I actually forget what this is Morse code for. But it's like the original version of the song minus the part that's missing, sort of just to like amplify the loneliness. This is expanded later on in the story. If you guys are wondering, the song in the Spotify playlist that this one was influenced by was Acolyte by Slaughter Beach Dog.
I'm tugging on your hair at 3:15 on a cold arms night. I know those pad will make a noise in your pocket when you walk.
There you go. It's hard to come up with explanations for this song because for a lot of it, I just wrote what I thought sounded cool.
The people in the hallways don't know how to separate basketball shoes.
It's sort of just like a pointless conversation, and now I'm just recalling the conversation in this version.
But when we see faces, we know the pumpkin's drought. We're losing time.
There you go again. I guess with this song, I just want to capture like those
losing time.
childish conversations that I've had with my friends, and most of them end up just, when I think about them afterwards, I just think, man,
you tell me to count, but I never know.
I'm kind of running out of time to have conversations like this before I'm an adult and have to have conversations about window shopping. Let's do something normal, like window shopping. I don't know. I guess
Putting
it's kind of sad to think about how, you know, I'm barely a kid anymore, you know.
Making sense of the rubber bands around your neck. Eyes shot with sleepless blood. I want wind to blow.
That's a reference to The Glow Part 2 by The Microphones, where the first song is I Want Wind to Blow. It's kind of a pointless reference, but like you know, I wanted to stick as many references into this album as possible.
We're losing,
both to my own work and other people's.
We're losing time. We're losing. We're losing. We're losing. We're losing time.
But you know, it's a little bit of a happy track. It's one of the shorter tracks on the album, being only about 4 minutes. I did not mean, like, it was not intentional for the average length of a song in this album to be 6 minutes. I just found it so much easier to write long songs than it was to write short songs. Like, when I finished this album, oh, wait, hold on. That's me hanging up the phone. And that's also me sitting down at my keyboard. That'll make sense for the next song. I when I finished this album, when I added the last song, which in this case was Horiath, I learned after adding up all the time, like the run times of the songs, that it was an hour, 19 minutes, and 23 seconds, around there, because time often fluctuates for some reason, like by a second or so. You saw with the Real Sickness going from 640 to 642, and 641. But like, I want to burn this onto a CD, right? And the CDs that I have, here's an example for Lovetail. Lovetail was only like 30 minutes, so I didn't have to worry that it wouldn't fit onto a CD. But with an hour and 19-minute album, I was worrying. You know how long you know how much time you can store on this? An hour and 20 minutes. I was 37 seconds away from reaching the max. I was 38 seconds away from not being able to fit the entire album on a CD. But thankfully, I was able to. Next song, A Man Named Salip. This song was originally much different. It was supposed to be a criticism of religion and also narcissism yet again. But I found that, you know, a lot of what I was saying was like stereotypical, and I didn't want to do that. I pretty much had the idea just so that I could get some shock factor from it, which, you know, is never a good thing. You should never write a song just to shock people. So, one day I was just messing around my keyboard and I thought of this chord progression and a line for it. This song is live recorded, which is what that's what the footnote says. This song was recorded live at a fake studio called Her House. Let's restart it though. This was also all one take.
You tend to
and I kept in a lot of the mistakes that I made
So much better than me.
because I just liked it.
You
It's not
always
the first time around.
listen to me ramble on about books I've never read. How come you tend to be the one who leaves far too early? Gripping my hat as you describe the reasons why you were late.
I wanted some. I wanted to show at some points on the record, not my skill in composing digitally, but also my skill in playing live. If I ever do release a live album, which was in my plans at multiple points, I guess that would also be some pretty good proof.
You wrote your own songs for a while, and the words came from your bones.
But yeah, this song is very much about one person and my thoughts on them.
You seemed insecure about that, but your pen hit the paper.
The songs they wrote were not that great, but you know.
Making flowers that looked the same online.
Nobody's songs are perfect, especially mine. You know,
mattered to
songwriting is a gained skill, not like a default setting.
Every Saturday we went to the park. You'd shoot layups while I shot in the dark. That was when he lied about moving.
That actually has a very funny story behind it. That was when he lied about moving. This relates to one of my dearest friends who moved into America, and his parents are applying for citizenship as we speak, and he actively cannot go outside of outside of America and get back in. Like if he went outside, he couldn't get back in. And he lied. He made up this funny story that he was moving to Italy once, and told nobody that it was fake. And he had a girlfriend at the time, which is the person that this song is about. And bro, it scared her so much. Like, terrified. I'm being completely honest when I say it terrified her. For some reason, he didn't think to tell her that it was a lie. I just find that funny in retrospect, but I was pretty sad that day until I learned that it was fake. Looking back, I probably should have figured that it was fake earlier.
Soon he broke up with you because he was bored.
But I'm not the kind of person to question my friends off the bat. You know, why would it be fake?
You tend to be so much better than me.
Not much to dissect with
You
these
always
lyrics.
listen to me ramble on about books I've never read. How come you tend to be the one who leaves far too early? Gripping my hat as you describe the reasons why you were late.
She is always late to stuff.
We've never met face
But I'll always
to
listen to the reason why.
Maybe I assume too much. Your house doesn't even have an address.
Those lines, pretty much saying that she's fake, was they're a reference to a time when this idea of a she was not real to me. You know, like there was nobody who fit this slot. And it felt even less real when I did find a she. So yeah, that's pretty much what it's saying there, and it's saying that in like these.
The penguin wallpaper on your phone.
It's saying these in a guarded metaphors, like your house doesn't have an address, and you don't have a name, you don't have a face. Like some stuff that would basically say to the listener, this person isn't a person.
Let
Not
me
real.
know who your eyes belong to. He wasn't real either, as I came to find out.
And learning more about this person, it was the same situation for her. And maybe it still is, where there isn't a he that fits into that slot. That fits into the slot of a he for her. You know. I'm not sure if that's still true or not, you know. It's hard to know this stuff about your friends.
How come you tend to be so much better than me? You always listen to me ramble on about books I've never read. How come you tend to be the one who leaves far too early? Gripping my hat as you describe the reasons why you were late. How come you tend to be the one that's shifting in their seat? The brush pen strokes don't erase on their own. How come you tend to be the one that's shooting for the stars?
I didn't quite hit that note, but
even after all the years of loving you. I still don't know who you are.
I find that to be true about a lot of my friends, you know, even after all the years of loving them. You know, I try to tell my friends that I love them as much as possible. I find that there's still so much to learn about them as a person. Because, you know, it takes a long time to fully open up to a person, even your closest friends. This is Tamerskins, which is the one from the newspaper. I mostly wrote this one from the perspective of Will Mulberry, who was in a very safeguarded relationship. He spent a lot of his time sleeping out on the street, and he does not have a daughter.
To a whole family.
This daughter that he has is pretty much his view on children and the future generation.
On the street, but they're the
He concerned himself a lot with
pity.
that.
If you want to save the future, darling, you have to do more to the people around you. Something's in the air, it's not love. You keep buying CDs from people on the street. This isn't how you live. I'd rather live out in the snow than sleep in my so-called home alone with you.
This is the first one that I think I could dance
The
to.
timber skins might make you
Like,
cry.
I really
Stop
like the
cutting
Goosebumps.
onions and sleep so
I guess
cold
you're
in
birds
your
too.
church pew. You're
Sounds a little bit
lonely
difficult to dance to during
church
verses.
pew. Start slowing down. Maybe get a wife that's better than me.
I like that line.
The rack.
There's something so much more fantastical about a wife than a husband to me. Maybe that's just because I'm a guy, but like, maybe it is just because I'm a guy, but like,
you scream out to the people, but forget.
I don't know, I guess it's just because I'm a guy, but there's something much more fantastic and cool about wives.
There's a lemon in my brain. I wake up a clone of who I used
Hold on,
to
Pat.
be.
There's a lemon in my brain. That connects to two things. Like, you could take it at surface level. Well, not surface level, but you could take it at like a beginning reference to just sour thoughts. But I really like this one line in Everything in Its Right Place by Radiohead. And the line is just, I woke up sucking on a lemon. And he says that in this dilapidated voice, just like over and over again at the beginning of that song. And it's just, what? Like, what do you mean by that? And I wanted... It's just such a weird thing to say. And I just liked that. I just liked the line, I guess.
Wow, you just up and change.
That's actually my favorite. No, that's my favorite line in the
Brain. I wake up a clone of who I used to be. Wow, you just up and change.
It's just so simple. That's my favorite line in the album. It's so simple, and I just like how I phrased it.
There's no better cure for a lonely heart than not missing it. Savor every piece. When you're out for blood next, remember my veins and how you used to cradle me. I'd rather live out in the snow than sleep in my so-called home alone with you. The timber skins might make you cry. Stop cutting onions and sleep so cold in your church pew, your lonely church pew. I'd rather live out in the snow than sleep in my so-called home alone with you. The timber skins
My microphone is really crappy, so sometimes I know there'll be a bit of compression. But I like the sound.
Your lonely church pew. I'm all alone. I'd rather be all alone than lose my daughter. There's something in the distance, behind the smoke and mirrors. There lies the old you. Silence now. I live in the silence now. An indefinite break from the noise. Over 5 years ago, the streets used to sparkle. You
I enjoy it when
used to sparkle.
it becomes a cappella in songs. Like, you can still hear the hat, and that's just to keep me on time.
The bigger man and leave. I'd rather live out in the snow than sleep in my so-called home alone with you. The timber skins might make you cry. Stop cutting onions and sleep so cold in your church pew, your lonely.
This is my favorite part of the song.
Pew. I'll never be not scared of this. I'll never be not scared of this, of you. of you. I'll never be not scared of this. I'll never be not scared of this.
I just found this line like powerful.
Of you.
I'll never be not scared of this, of you.
I'll never be.
And then it kind of lays back. That song structure appeared a lot in Love Tale, where it had this big bombastic final chorus and then it just like cut back on it. I think I did it best here. This was one of my favorite songs on the record, probably right next to Horizon and The Illusory Fair, of course. I might have to split this into two sections because 2 parts, because we are almost at an hour and I don't know if my computer has enough space left on it for this all to be one video. I'll probably stopped after The Boys Are Strong, which is a intermission. Okay, so this is the big song. This is one of the 2 big songs. There's this one and The Illusory Fair. And those 2 songs took me the longest out of any of them to make, especially this one. This one, Crazy All Part 2, was just such a long process to make, and it was such a grueling process. I almost don't like listening to this song anymore. But in case you're unaware, I had this joke rap group with my friend Kendrick, or Nash71. He's appeared on many videos in many of my newer videos on my channel. And one of the songs of The Far Past Gets Made, I talked about this at the beginning, was called Crazy Y'all Part 1. And the entire album was supposed to be Crazy Y'all Part 2, but eventually I just cut it back, and now it's only this song that is Crazy Y'all Part 2. But it's one of the most important songs, and so that's the backstory behind it. It's you'll see that the Part 2 is exclamation marks instead of like capital I's. So yeah, that's kind of the weight behind this one, and that's, I think, part of the reason why it took a long time to make. It's just because it had so much weight. It had so much importance. It was very important to me to make this song great, and I think I did that. I enjoy the outcome. I think this is the one of the last songs that I wrote the lyrics for. I usually make the beat, then I write the lyrics, and I record it, and I add all the flourishes in the recording. Sometimes I improvise lyrics in the recording as well if I think they're better than the written down lyrics. And this one just took so long. I made the beat for this one really early on. Like, this was one of the first beats I made. And then like, it took me so long to write the lyrics. Like, I finished writing the lyrics maybe a couple of weeks ago from recording this. And then I recorded it like 2 weeks ago from recording this video. So it was like down to the wire, like last minute. So this is the outcome.
Looking for your house, I can't find it, and my pen is almost out.
You'll hear it's the riff from the beginning of a 7 track.
Pushing on your doorstep, knocking on nothing. Maybe I'll take more than one.
I think I referenced this take more than one multiple times in this record.
I'm going crazy.
It's just a reference to like taking more than one during Halloween.
Don't you pass through, no more pedal in your pocket. I'm going crazy, you probably hate me. floating in your room as a planet. Then the smoke alarm goes off. When you feel the weight of the fabric, you know that the lights turn off.
I rhymed off with off there. This verse is pretty much about like all the
You never
like
learn
how
what
other
happened
people
to
see
the figure.
you now that they know that you
The
do drugs.
truck is here
And like
you
this is not about me.
move
I've never done drugs in my life and I hopefully never will. It's about my friends who do drugs, or my used to be friends
The record player
that now do
keeps
drugs.
skipping
And it's just sad
kids
seeing what
and
happened to them
throws, you know that I
after they started doing them. Or pretty much just any bad experience like that. It's sad to see what happened to them after you cut ties
I'm going
and they
crazy.
delved into that bad
You
experience.
probably hate me. Don't
And then they grow to hate you. And you kind of go,
no more
and you
pedal in your
and them
pocket.
kind of go crazy about this experience. I mean, it's happened to me
I'm
once.
going
I won't go much deeper than this
crazy.
for their
You
privacy.
probably hate me. Don't you pass through.
I'm not afraid to write songs about other people, but I'm not afraid to write songs and release them by other people, but I will not go into an extremely personal depth. I won't attack them. It's just observational. There was one song where I did get into, like, hold on, let me pause this because that transition was important. There was one song that I was going to put on this album that I did get into an attacking part, and I just decided, no, I'm not going to release this. This is not who I want to come off as. And it's not who I am. That's a point when that wave of wanting to make a song can like be detrimental. When it gets you to that point of being detrimental to others when you're writing your songs, and that's never a good thing. Okay, let's go back to this transition. Oh shit.
I'm going crazy again.
I wanted a really sharp contrast with like this dancey electronic thing and that slow ballady thing at the beginning, kind of similar to Dance Yourself Clean by LCD Sound System.
Save your pennies for another day. 676.
This part was very difficult to
Save your
record because it
pennies
was
for
hard
another
singing all the way up there for prolonged
676.
recording takes.
Save your pennies for another day. 676.
I can't really explain that
pennies for another
line
day.
without doxing myself.
Day.
Or it's specifically what that
I'm
number
going
means.
crazy again. You hid the knives from him again. I always knew you were made of glass, poetry and bread. I never minded when she stole my hat. The dog's life has some truth.
I don't like that line anymore.
The target on your back has shoe marks.
Change the
I
pan.
remember that you hated
There are a lot of
leather.
points where I mess around with the
The
panning,
movie
especially
of
this
the
song
wall,
Is That Your Poverty,
Changing
and
shape over an hour.
I think those are the two where it's
Record
most
the
prevalent.
final minutes
This
of
one
your
is That Your
seance. Post your flowers online. Talk for 15 minutes about shower routines. When you laugh, I smile. Another planet enters your room. We record me hanging up the phone. Am I writing all about her again? Am I going crazy? You probably hate me, don't you? Pass through, no more pedal in your pocket. I'm going crazy, you probably
It's kind
hate
of
me.
difficult to hear what I'm saying
Don't
here
you?
or understand it, and
I'm going crazy, you
partially
probably
purposeful.
hate me.
You
Don't
know, it's kind of like when you
Pass through, no
spiral
more pedal in your
downward,
pocket.
you become
I'm going crazy, you probably
uninterpretable.
hate me. Don't you? I'm going crazy.
Here you can hear in different pans I'm saying different things, which it continues that theme of like spiraling, you know, surrounded on all sides by people saying different things, or yourself saying different things.
Crazy, passing through. I'm back where I started.
Now that I'm back where I started, followed by the mangled violins, is a direct reference to Love Tale. You know, I'm back in that. This song is about that ending is about going back to that situation, which I talked about in depth during Love Tale. There are many references to Love Tale in this record, and a bunch of references to my other work. This song in itself is a reference to Crazy L Part 1. And I just like that self-referential aesthetic. So yeah, that's a direct reference to Love Tale, the mangled violin specifically. That was like the main part of that record that would stick throughout. That little dissonant, a minor second there. On the C minor second. And then that's kind of the ending of that one small that one small arc of that motif. That's kind of the end of that arc. You know, you heard it in 7. I think you hear it in A Man Named Salip. Might not. Actually thinking now, you probably don't. And then you hear it in Crazy L Part 2. It spans across that entire thing, at least at the beginning and end. And all of the songs in it are kind of about that, like living in that mindset. And now the second half is living in a future mindset laid out by The Boys Are Struggling. I have to pee. So, while The Boys Are Struggling is playing, I'm just going to say right now that this song is in direct reference to a text that I got once from one of my friends in a different town. Like, I don't go to school with them. They just said, "You boys are struggling for real, for real." FR. And I was like, man, you're right, because we were making jokes about like being lonely or something. And I was like, man, that's kind of poetic. The boys are struggling. So I made a song about that, and it ended up just being like this sort of improv piano piece Well, it's not improv. It's like that improv that's like bullet points, like on a talk show when they're doing the interviews. It's more so bullet points that they're following instead of a script. It's that kind of thing. Like I knew each part that I was gonna do, but I didn't know exactly what notes I was gonna be playing. So here it is. I have to go. I'm back. Just so you know, it did not take me 3 minutes to pee. I was grabbing a brownie as well. And I ate the full thing. Because I was a tad hungry. But yeah, this riff itself is it's like the riff that was played in 7. It's like the overarching riff. I think yet again it only showed up in this song and then the last song in this like story piece. Yeah, I'm gonna cut this into 2 parts. The album and the album part 1, part 2, and then the story. Yeah, I just want to keep you on your toes for that last part of it. And then you're at the, is that your property? So yeah, that's the first part. There are 6 songs in that part, and then the boys are struggling. Starts the next part, which also has 6 songs, and then you have the little epilogue, which is everything's okay for now. You could also split it into 7 to Crazy All Part 2, the boys are struggling, as a middle part, and then Is That Your Poverty to Everything's Okay for Now. From the singles, you can see that I'm much more comfortable sharing parts of this early on in a friendship than I am comfortable sharing parts of this in a friendship. So that's a symbolism with the singles, I guess. I'll talk about that more in depth in the second part. I doubt any single person has made it this far into the video, into an hour and 11 minutes into the video. So if you are here, type in the comments pee pee poo poo or something. I don't know. Type whatever you want. Just say I made it this long. I don't know. Just say that or something. I am this many, bro. So yeah, I hope you have a good day. Part 2 coming soon. Bye bye.